Head over to BoardGamePrices.com to find the best price on Fireball Island and thousands of other games. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we find ourselves on an island. Getting up that beach, going through some palm trees, trying to take some snapshots of our adventure, trying to maybe get the Heart of Vul-Kar and get off the island. Today we're talking about Fireball Island, the Curse of Vul-Kar from Restoration Games. Back in 1986, Fireball Island came out as a mass market game, and Restoration Games redid this entire game. Now I had done already a sneak peek of my play of this back in Origins, June this year, but now I've got the production version, so let me show you how it looks, how it plays, and I'll see you on the other side. In Fireball Island, the Curse of Vul-Kar, you'll be one of these four adventurers starting from the helicopter, getting onto the island, and trying to get points, and you'll be doing so over the course of the game by getting the single and only Heart of Vul-Kar for 7 points, or the Lucky Penny for 6, or taking some snapshots around the different spots of the island for 5 points apiece. But hey, only if you get off the island will you be able to share those photos and get points. And you'll be getting 3 different types of treasures worth set collection. The more you get, the more points you'll get. That's what you're trying to do throughout the game. Well, here's the beautiful island of Fireball Island, and you're going to be roaming around this island and trying to get all those different treasures we talked about. The Heart of Vul-Kar is right near the Vul-Kar, and the treasures are all around. Now, all the adventurers start in this helicopter, and they'll end up moving to this helipad and moving around the island. Now, the turns are very simple. You're going to select one of the 2 cards you have in your hand, you're going to play it, you're going to move that amount, maybe do a special ability, and then it will be the next player's turn. So players have choices. There's no dice when moving per se, but you'll have these things like maybe I want to move 10, maybe I want to move 6, or maybe I want to pick the card because of a certain ability that's on that card. For example, maybe we want to move 6, and then we'll be able to draw a souvenir card after moving. We would discard this card. And when you move, you simply start at the helipad, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say. Anytime you pass through one of these little spots that has a red triangles on it, it allows you to take the treasure that's there. Remember, you're trying to get set collection of these treasures. For example, this one is worth 1 because I have 1 of them, but if I get up to 5 of these blue ones, I'm going to get 15 points. Now, we talked about that card actually got us a souvenir card, and those are cards that look like this, and they're very good and powerful for you. Everyone starts with one. Like, I could have played this after I moved and moved an additional 5, and I wouldn't stop them in any unstoppable spaces, so a jetpack. But maybe I would have gotten another one from playing that other card, and I'd have multiples of these that you can use on your turn. This one is, I can take an action card from the discard pile instead, because normally, once you're done with your card and you've discarded it, you would simply draw from the draw deck back up to 2, and these cards just allow you to break the rules of the game. Now, some cards allow you, after moving, to launch an Ember Marble. By the way, when moving, you have to move that exact amount, no more, no less. These Ember Marbles are on the island. And these are all these orange ember marbles hanging out in different spots. And that allows you to push one with your finger. You can't flick with your thumb, but you can push it to try to knock over people like that. Now keep in mind, there was a tree here. Over the course of the game, some cards allow you to rotate things, and this player might have been able to rotate this to make it so that fireball maybe would have gotten stopped from there. Now if this player had one of those treasures that they had already picked up, they would get to basically give that to the other player that caused this player to fall. So basically you're also gathering treasures from other people if you cause them to fall down like that. Now when you do fall down like that and have to give up a treasure, you at least get a consolation. You get one of those souvenir cards that we already talked about. Now they stay down until the beginning of their next turn, so they can't get hit more than once in between turns, where they would just basically stand up and then take their turn. Now some of the cards are this Cataclysm. First you'll move 6, then after moving you can rotate. And you can either rotate any one of those palm trees that I showed you, or you can move the Vul-Kar one way, left or right, one click like that. Now this is interesting because the middle of Vul-Kar, you're going to be dropping marbles in here, the fireball marbles, and then there's 50% chance it will come down the middle, and then 25% on either end. Now the game starts with 1 fireball in the scar at the end of the board, and when you played that card, you're going to drop all the marbles that are in that scar here. So just 1 at the beginning of the game, and you're going to see what happens. Also keep in mind that when players move to bridges or these ladders, they must stop until their next turn, so they might get stuck on these bridges because these typically get you close to some of the better parts on the island. So let's see what happens when we drop this marble in here. Boom, look at that. It collapsed the bridges, that player fell. By the way, at the end of a turn, any of the marbles that were used go back, the fireballs go back to the discard. Any orange and ember marbles that fail get put back where they were. Now that card will get placed here on this board under Cataclysm 1. However, once the third one has been placed there, these will all get discarded, and you'll take one of these marbles off. It will get placed down on the scar. Now when one of those cards gets played, there's going to be more marbles going through Vul-Kar, so it ramps up the destruction as the game goes on. And this also acts like a timer for the game, because one of the ways the game can end is if once all these marbles get off this, everyone else gets up to 2 more turns left. Now the other thing you're trying to do is get snapshots. You'll see here, there's a yellow snapshot here and here, and if you start your turn or pass one of these, you get one of those snapshots. You're only getting one of any color during the entire game. And they look like this. This is one of the yellow ones, and it's worth 5 points, but they're only worth points if you get off the island. We'll talk more about that later. Now there's also different caves around. Here's cave number 2, there's another number 2 here, there's a number 1 here, number 3 here, there's sort of caves all over the place. If you go into one of these, you can roll this cave die, it has 1, 2, or 3 on it, and then you can move to a cave of that number and then continue to move. It's a way to move quickly around the island. Now, we talked about one of the main ways of getting points is this gem, which is worth 7 points. If a player is here, they can take the gem from here. Of course, it's a dangerous spot to be in. Now, if anybody actually passes this person on their turn, and when you move past people, you just move right past them, you can steal this from them. So anybody that gets passed by someone else gets that gem stolen from them. So it will change hands probably a few times throughout the game, but if you have it at the end, it's gonna be worth 7 points. Now the end of the game can be triggered in one of 2 ways. If a player has one of each of the 3 different colored snapshots, those are those cards like this that we showed you earlier. If you have one of each of the colors, you can go to the helipad and you can go right to the helicopter. If you're the first player there, you can take your pick of any of these. The penny is worth 6 points. That's usually going to be the best choice. They can take this. But as players end up possibly hitting themselves with marbles and fireballs and such, they'll lose treasure and it will go here. They can pick one of these 2. Remember, you're trying to get set collection. Now the game will end as soon as either all players are in the helicopter or that cataclysm, all the fireballs have come off there and everyone has gotten 2 turns, as I talked about earlier. That would, pretty much make the end of the game. So in either of those cases, whether someone gets to the helicopter or all those fire marbles are gone from the cataclysm, everyone else gets up to 2 turns, and you'll score it at the end. If you have the Heart of Vul-Kar, you get 7, Lucky Penny 6. If you're off the island, these will be worth 5, but if you didn't get off the island, they're gonna be worth nothing, and then just set collections with the treasures. Whoever has the most is the winner. Now here's some of the other action cards that you hadn't seen. You can move 4, but you can grab all the treasures, because normally when you move by a place that has multiple treasures, you can only pick 1. This allows you to grab more than just one of those. This one allows you to move really far, but you can't grab treasures while moving, but you can still take snapshots and such, and then you can rotate any 2 things, Vul-Kar and or the palm trees. Now I'm not going to show you all of the souvenir cards, but here's some you haven't yet seen. This one allows you to go to any cave instead of rolling a die once you're there. This one you don't have to stop at those unstoppable spots like the bridges or the ladder. This one is you don't lose any treasure if you get hit. This one, all knocked over players must give you an extra treasure. They do different things like that. All right, well there is Fireball Island, the Curse of Vul-Kar. Now first let me state that I did play this game a ton as a kid. I had the game, we played it a lot. I remember running around. I don't remember a whole lot about the mechanisms, but I do remember just the fun that we had playing that. But it was really roll and move, very random. And Restoration games, like they normally do, they do a great job of making things just a lot better. So of course this is going to have some nostalgic value for many people that have already played this before, like me. So I think that's a positive thing, is you're going to have that value. But you don't want to get too carried away and just dreaming of how awesome it was, because your expectations might be too high. So it has a good nostalgic value there. Table presence is, goes without saying. You saw it on the table. There's no way you're not playing this game somewhere and people stopping going, what are you playing? I mean, it just looks cool. Marbles rolling down, switching things around. It just looks amazing on the table. So definitely a big positive there. I love that they moved from the randomized dice, the way you used to move, to the movement cards where you got 2 choices. And I like that they didn't give you too many choices. You get 2 cards, choose it, move that amount exactly, and then do the ability if you want to on that card. And it's good because it's streamlined, it's easy, but it still gives you some good choices there. I love the probabilities of dropping those fireballs through Vul-Kar, where about 50% of the time it comes down the middle, and then the other 25 and 25 goes down the different sides. And I like that you don't ever really know for sure where it's going to go. It gives you just a little bit of guesswork with it. Makes you change how you may want to rotate that thing. I think that's cool. The souvenir cards. I like when you are hit even though you're going to give up a treasure. If you hit yourself, it just kind of goes into the spot that people can get when they're off the island first. But if somebody else hits you, then you get to basically, you're giving them a treasure. But I like when that happens, and when you're knocked over, you get one of those souvenir cards, which kind of gives you a good way to break the rules in the game. It's a good way to sort of balance things out. Consolation prize, and I like that. The Cataclysm cards. I love how that sort of ramps up the destruction, where once 3 cards are there, they sort of reset and get discarded, and it acts as sort of a timer of the game as well. I like how that sort of brings the game to a good arc there. I like that you're trying to fight for that gem, or someone's gonna, the heart, I guess I should say, the heart of Vul-Kar, or people are gonna grab that. And throughout the game, people are going to be running past that person trying to steal it, and it will definitely change hands throughout the game. And I like that you're trying to maybe get off the island first so you can get that penny that's worth 6 points as well. So when you get off, you're going to get that first pick. And, most of the time you're going to get that penny, but if someone already got it, you can get a treasure that you really need too. So it still feels like a little bit of a race to get off the island too. It does for sure make you feel like you're a kid again. Now, I played this just recently with somebody who had never played the game before. And they also said, wow, this really brings me back to being a kid. And it's cool that even someone who's never even played the game before actually said that out loud. Because I always feel like that when I'm playing this game. I do feel like I'm a kid again. It definitely is very light, and it's fun, but it still gives you a good amount of things to think about. So that's kind of how I frame this. If you're looking for a good, light, fun game where you're running around, making adventure, some little dexterity elements, flicking marbles around at people, if that's the type of fun you're looking for, but still having some good decisions to make throughout, then this is definitely a good one to have. Any negatives? Well, we talked about nostalgic value earlier, and sometimes our memories seem to play things up bigger than they really are. So sometimes your nostalgic memories might place in unreal expectations about how the game is. You might remember it being the best thing ever, and sure, they've done a lot with it, and it's a lot better than it used to be. But sometimes that nostalgic value can actually help. Actually hurt you in the end by having too big of expectations. It's a fun game. Makes you feel like a kid again, but it's not going to be the best game ever that I've ever played. You know what I mean? And back when I was a kid, it was. And so you got to keep that in check. So the game is light. It might be too light for some. If you're looking for a game that has a ton of strategic decisions, this is probably not the game for you. If you're looking to have a lot of just some light fun, but still some good decisions, it probably is. And the last negative is the 2-player experience, I would say, isn't as good as the 3 and 4. With 2 players, you basically get to run 2 characters. You can have 2 of the snapshots of each type, and that's how you get off the island, and you share cards and stuff like that within yourself. It was okay. It wasn't great. I prefer 3 or 4 players better. And I didn't show any of sort of the expansions and such. But there was one where you could put some snakes on the board, some little green marbles, and one of the spots on my board, I couldn't really get it to hold at all. So maybe a production hiccup there or whatever, but minor nitpick. The game's awesome. It's fun. If you're looking for light fun, this is it. And because of that, because of how much this game means to me from as a kid, I'm definitely keeping this in the gaming library. So it's getting a saxophone serenade. Here we go. The overview in this video was shot on a Watson model Game Topper. Upgrade every game you play with the ultimate gaming accessory. Game Toppers, shipping now. Check them out at GameToppersLLC.com.